from Southern Maryland's weather leader. This is a JB Weather Alert.
Good morning, I'm Forecaster John Bordash with you here in the JB Weather Center this morning, continuing to track a very dangerous, a very powerful, and a very record-setting storm getting ready to make landfall here along the coastline of southeastern Louisiana. Last night, when you were heading to bed, probably right around 11 o'clock or so, Hurricane Ida was a Category 2 storm with winds of 105 miles per hour. In just about or less than 12 hours' time, Hurricane Ida is now a monster Category 4 storm, which sits only 7 miles per hour away in terms of its winds from being a Category 5 storm. Winds are currently sustained in the center of the storm around the eye wall of 150 miles per hour. We're going to see that pressure you see there at 933 millibars continue to drop. That is an indication, another indication we use along with wind speed to show us how strong a storm is, and this is really going to be moving here right into the coastline of southeastern Louisiana here in not too much time. Let's go ahead and take you on over to the live infrared satellite imagery. We're getting updates with this every minute, and we can really see how this storm has cleared out a very well-defined eye as it's closing in here just to the south and east of, or south and west of New Orleans. Let's go ahead and zoom on in here. The areas that we're really going to be watching to take the brunt of this is going to be the Grand Isle area. This is a very small resort town here, and I wouldn't even call it a resort town. It's just a coastal town here along the bayou of the southern Mississippi Delta, and this is going to be bringing devastating impacts to this area. And this is not lost on anyone that today marks the 16th anniversary of when Hurricane Katrina made landfall here in parts of Louisiana and on over into Mississippi. And sure enough, just 16 years later, we have a storm that is getting ready to reach Category 5 intensity, getting ready to make landfall here. This storm is very dangerous. It has become quite the monster. Zooming out, you can really see how this storm looks, and if we were to load up a 6-hour loop of Hurricane Ida's infrared satellite imagery, we'll let this go through a little bit. You can see initially its eye early this morning, right around when I was waking up, right around 2 o'clock. It was there. It wasn't well defined though, and as we go forward here, you can see how the storm really is utilizing that warm water here in the Gulf of Mexico. And we can see how it very quickly clears out that eye, and now we have a textbook-like hurricane getting ready to move on shore here. What I do want to do is take a look at current wind speeds with this storm as it's getting ready to move on shore. Let me go ahead and get that loaded up, but I will preface this with we're going to see high impacts for all of southeastern Louisiana. As we take a look at rain, wind, surge, all of these different factors are going to be leading to here to a very high impact for this area. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these wind speeds we have right now. I want to go ahead and get this loaded up with our latest high resolution data here. Let's go ahead and get those arrows on. Let's go ahead and get these winds loaded up. We'll let the computer here do its magic, and I want to actually make sure that we don't have the color here for the arrows. That makes it a little bit difficult to see kind of what's going on. But as we take a look in here, and again, this is right around now, we can see where we have this area here in gray. That is indicative winds well over major hurricane strength. We are estimating winds getting up near 150 miles per hour. We're even seeing some estimates coming in right now of winds getting near 160. What I do want to do quickly is take you on over to the live feed we have from the National Hurricane Center, from the hurricane hunters that are inside this storm right now, taking a look at this. This is using the Tropical Tidbit side. Huge shout out to Levi Kawan here, who has developed this website. We use it in the meteorology field every day. But as we take a look here, this is a little bit hard of an image to kind of decipher, but this is the path the hurricane hunters are flying through within Ida. And behind it, you can see the satellite imagery. And actually, what I think might be a little bit of an easier way for me to show you this is to bring it up on one of our graphics systems here. So let me go ahead and just get that loaded up. It's a little bit easier to see. Let me go ahead and turn this off. I want to make sure that I have infrared turned on. Let's go ahead, bring you on over here. So again, this won't be live radar, and actually we can go ahead and get that turned off. This is a look at infrared satellite imagery. So all of these different lines here, this denotes where the hurricane hunters have been flying overnight, where they currently are. If we turn those off really quick, you can see, again, satellite imagery. You can see the National Hurricane Center forecasting this to make landfall. It's a Category 5 storm here near the Grand Isle area. As we zoom in here, let's turn on the Hurricane Hunter data here. Each one of these dots represents a different drop zone that they've sent into the storm. And again, these are airplanes going right into the heart of the storm. These are specially made airplanes with highly qualified pilots here going into the storm. And earlier this morning, we did get a wind report of 140 knots, and that would be translated over to winds getting up over 160 miles an hour with this storm, with wind gusts much higher, near 170 to 175. The National Hurricane Center marked that as a little bit suspect. They're continuing to fly through and see if we can get additional readings up to that level. So we do have some evidence that this has potentially reached Category 5 status, but the National Hurricane Center is going to be very cautious here before making that call. We've only ever had 4 other Category 5 hurricanes strike the mainland United States. The most recent one was Hurricane Michael in 2018, which was reassessed during postseason analysis up to Category 5 strength. The last time we had a landfalling Category 5 storm we knew was a Category 5 storm at the time would have been Hurricane Andrew in 1992. Hurricane Katrina, which again hit parts of this region not too long ago, back only 16 years ago today. And while it was a Category 5 storm at peak strength, it was a Category 3 storm, weakening as it came onshore due to dry air. That is not an issue here with Hurricane Ida. Again, we're seeing that we have several different wind speeds here, getting up between 150 and 160 miles an hour with this storm. Now, I do want to take you through our future cast here. I did not render this beforehand, so my apologies. Let me go ahead and get that loaded up here. And what I will do is walk you through here. Let's go ahead and get the 9 o'clock frame loaded up. And you'll see our future cast here takes, again, this really, just crazy wind speeds right on shore. This is estimating for 9 o'clock, so just about half an hour from now. You can see we have wind speeds getting up over 140 miles an hour with this. As we press forward over here towards 10 o'clock, you can see it is getting even closer towards landfall. As we head over towards 11 o'clock, we can see those 140, 150 mile an hour winds beginning to move onshore here, right into the Grand Isle location, pushing lots of water onshore. Our model is suggesting at this point we're talking about winds getting up near 70 miles an hour here in parts of New Orleans, pushing water in Lake Pontchartrain right up along that levee system. This will indeed be one of the strongest storms and one of the biggest tests that this levee system has had to face since the infamous levee fail back in 2005. Our model takes this very slowly onshore. I don't know if it'll take this long to make landfall. I suspect landfall will indeed happen near Grand Isle. Our model, though, takes it about 20 miles further west, closer towards Huma, which would give it an extra hour over the warm waters. But you can see all of these gusty winds moving right onshore, and our model has landfall pegged right around 2 o'clock. So I would say anytime between noon and 2 would be when we look at landfall with this system, continuing to push wind gusts up over 70 miles per hour in the parts of New Orleans. And we can see as this storm moves inland, we're really bringing in hefty wind gusts. And this isn't going to weaken super fast. It will very quickly weaken. By the time it hits Baton Rouge, it should only be a Category 1 storm as it continues further inland. Now, as it moves into Huma, we're probably still looking at a Category 2, Category 3 storm with winds up over 100 miles an hour, spreading those hurricane-force winds into parts of New Orleans. Let me show you how the National Hurricane Center currently assesses the wind radii. So the area here in yellow would be tropical storm force winds of at least 39 miles per hour. In orange, we're talking tropical storm force winds that are at least 60 miles an hour. Then in the red, that would be hurricane force winds upwards of 74 miles an hour. and going all the way up to 150, 160. Right now, we have some of these gusty winds beginning to push onshore here. Hurricane force winds will be moving onshore shortly. If I turn on the National Hurricane Center forecast cone here, what you will see is as we push this on forward here, the center track here, that would take it right into Huma. But you can see if this takes the far easterly track, which is 100% possible, this not only puts tropical storm force winds into New Orleans, which will likely happen regardless, but this would put hurricane force winds, if we just translate this onshore, right into the New Orleans metro area. And if this stays further to the west, while New Orleans might be spared at least a little bit, we're talking about hurricane force winds getting right into Huma, Franklin, getting on up towards Baton Rouge here as we head throughout the day today. Let's go ahead and take you back on over to our infrared satellite imagery that updates every minute here. I want to go ahead and make sure we have that loaded up, get the latest information on this storm as we continue to track everything with Hurricane Ida. This is a very serious situation, and this is honestly quite gut-wrenching. Those of you that have been following long enough know that Hurricane Katrina was the storm that got me interested in meteorology. I was in elementary school when Hurricane Katrina moved onshore in New Orleans, and it is just crazy that 16 years later I'm here watching the exact same thing unfold. Let me also put on here some of our wind gusts we have with these storms right now, or that are getting reported right now. These were updated around 8 o'clock this morning, but we can see we have a buoy here that's now currently sitting in the eye of the storm that was reporting winds upwards of 100 miles per hour. We're getting winds getting up towards 50 to 60 miles an hour, starting to move onshore. The strongest winds with this storm are going to be in the right front quadrant, right here getting near the base of the Mississippi Delta. We can see we have a buoy that's currently reporting winds of 120 miles an hour, so that would be Category 3 strength. Currently, New Orleans is reporting wind gusts getting upwards of 40 miles per hour. If we were to turn on radar as well, and we'll see actually if we have visible satellite imagery beginning to come through here. I'm not really seeing much just yet. The sun, yeah, you can see it's still dark because it's still we're just now reaching sunrise in this part of the world, but as we see the sun rise, this will be a 6-hour loop here. You can see how, and actually we could just make this a 2-hour loop so we're not rendering a whole bunch of extra images we don't need to. You can see as the sun rises, we're getting these first visible images of Hurricane Ida, and on its as it closes in here in the parts of southeastern Louisiana. So let's go ahead and turn this off quickly. I do want to show you current radar right now across the region. Let me make sure that our legends are turned off. That can tend to kind of clutter up the screen a little bit. And I want to make sure, let's take us on over to our radar. Currently, this is what radar is picking up on here in parts of New Orleans. And I want to also turn on our high-resolution radar, and let's get the Seidel radar loaded up here. Let me go ahead and make sure that we are getting that loaded. There we go. So we'll get some high-resolution radar images in here very shortly. And if we turn on our warnings and watches as well, what we're going to notice is that we not only have the hurricane moving onshore, which has hurricane warnings associated with it, all of the red shaded counties are also under a tornado watch through 8 o'clock, and we do actually have a tornado warning in effect here for parts of Dauphin Island, just off the Grand Bay. That is going to be going here until 9 o'clock this morning as we get the cells rotating onshore. With hurricanes, we have a very prone atmosphere for spin-up tornadoes. These are very easy to spin up when we have such a large area in the atmosphere that is twisting and turning with the winds. So you can see Hurricane Ida right here. You can see that very clear eye wall here where you're getting some of these reds. These would be the thunderstorms that are housing the strongest winds and really the worst conditions right now. And right now we are measuring Hurricane Ida's eye as just about 15 miles across right now. So as that pushes onshore, this area, probably up here near Grand Isle, you're probably going to be able to get in on at least a little bit of calm weather after going through the first half of the eye, but that definitely will not last. Let me turn high resolution radar off now. Let's give this just a 1-hour loop, and you can see the general motion we've seen here on radar with the storm really starting to push onshore now. As we as we watch all of this move on. So this is a very dangerous situation. We are seeing, again, a very strong hurricane this morning. This rapidly intensified overnight. We are now talking about sustained winds upwards of 150 miles per hour. That pressure has fallen to 933. That is indicative of a very strong hurricane getting near Category 5 strength. Cat 5 status begins at 157 miles per hour, so we are not far off of that right now, and we have had some reports come in that do potentially peg Ida upwards of Cat 5 strength. So we will be watching this. Landfall is likely going to be sometime within the next 4 to 6 hours. It is running out of time to intensify, but it is likely that it will continue to intensify, and it doesn't have to go too much further to reach Cat 5 status. This will be a very strong storm. This will be something that brings, I think, life-altering impacts for much of southeastern Louisiana, and I think the coastline down here in Louisiana could be uninhabitable here for weeks, potentially even months, as we could be talking about a storm surge that gets upwards of 16 feet. I will be here in the Weather Center continuing to keep you updated throughout the day on what's going on. You can get instantaneous real-time updates from me on Twitter. That is the best way to follow me for these type of updates at JB_weather. But I will also have updates as normal on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on the website to continue to keep all of you ahead of this storm as we continue to track it. Have a nice and safe one. Keep it tuned here to JB Weather, and I will continue to keep you one step ahead of the storm. We'll have another live update here coming for you in just a little bit.